Hey everyone, I'm back. It's Sky, the host of the Georgia Foodcast, and I'm here with a really special guest today. This is Tripp Morgan, the founder and CEO of Pretoria Fields in Albany, Georgia. And there's just a lot going on at Pretoria Fields that everybody needs to know about, whether you just know about the beer or the farm or the collective as a whole. We're going to get into it and talk through how things are pivoting during this time. So thank you, Tripp, for being on the show.
All right, excited to be here.
Well, we're excited to have you. There's just so much to talk about and so little time to fit it in, but we're going to try. And for anybody who's either familiar or unfamiliar with Pretoria Fields, can you just give us a little background, the history, the mission, the culture, just those
Sure.
little things?
So this started almost well, I guess the idea for the brewery started about 6 years ago. Um, Dad was a pharmacist and I am a physician.
Okay.
But our family has been in farming forever. And so we had a family farm that when he retired, we both started. It was more of a hobby for me, but he was, it was his retired job. So we were
Yeah.
doing corn, cotton, and peanuts. I got into this branch of medicine called functional medicine,
Yeah.
and the idea is that a lot of chronic disease is actually caused by um, by factors that we experience throughout our lives. So you can think about, the toxins, the food that you eat, the fact that you don't get sleep is all filtered through your genetics, and you eventually, excuse me, you eventually get some sort of chronic illness as you get older. I mean, everybody dies, so those things kind of push through, and that's the idea of functional medicine, is that how do we delay that as long as possible? And one of the biggest ways is through our food sources. Okay. And so when talking to Dad, one of my ideas was, well, I wanted to get one of our farms organic certified. And so we started to look into that. And then we wanted to really promote this idea of organic agriculture and really food safety and food health, trying to increase awareness of organic agriculture and organic farming, and really promote the idea of, I mean, we got to have industrial farms to feed America.
Right.
But the industrial farms are also making America sick. I mean, there's no doubt about it. And so there's got to be a way to decrease the gap between organic farming, meaning healthy, what I consider healthy food production, and then industrial farming, which feeds America. But if that's all you're eating, then you're making people sick, or we're not necessarily promoting health. Maybe that's a better way to say it. And so with that, Omaha Brewing Company was doing pretty good. We got this idea of maybe doing a small brewery out on our farm. To make a long story short, the Downtown Development Authority found out about our little project, and they invested money to bring us downtown. So we're a farmhouse brewery with farms that actually is located in downtown Albany. But our real mission is promoting organic agriculture, sustainable farming, and appropriate use of natural resources.
Well, that's quite a mission, and you're definitely accomplishing it. And what a better way or a person to speak to that mission than somebody who is a doctor and physician in functional medicine. I didn't even realize that was a career path. And
Well, now I'm a vascular surgeon.
vascular surgeon.
I'm
Okay.
a vascular surgeon. My interest is in functional medicine. So
Okay. All right.
you're good. And I guess there is a board certification in functional medicine. Really.
Yeah.
So if you think about, by the time I get somebody, most of my patients are over the age of 60.
Yeah.
They're really at the point where they're getting a procedure or they're being put on medicines. And the idea, I mean, basically, as I'm getting older myself, was how do you prevent from getting, considering the genetics that I've got bad cardiovascular genetics, I guess you could say, that how do you prevent, and if I do see somebody who can make an intervention at a younger age, what can we do to try to decrease that progression?
Yeah. Well, and definitely from studying dietetics in college, I can understand that a lot too. It's just the more your diet affects your health. It's just the comorbidities that you experience throughout your life.
Right.
Or just when you get to the point where you need to see a vascular surgeon, you have X, Y, and Z as a comorbidity because of the way that you've been eating, which is I think, do you think since the time you became a physician until now, there has been a change in like the culture of thought that like
Oh,
people,
there's no doubt.
yeah,
Oh, no doubt.
yeah,
So, I mean, so there is no one more narrow-minded than a surgeon. Okay. And so we're taught to do things a certain way, that this
yeah,
is always the way. And, and really based on the medical model. I mean, you're going to offer somebody, so you're going to take a patient who has X disease and we're going to try to make them better by doing Y. And so, that's how I was trained.
hmm,
But if you look at what functional medicine is, it's a little bit, it's different than the medical model. The medical model says there's one problem and there's one answer to it. And really what functional medicine model says is there's a problem, but there might have been 25 different causes. And can we make an intervention on 5 or 6 of those causes early on
yeah,
and delay the results from it? Well,
yeah,
that's the whole idea behind organic farming is, children these days are born with, the CDC did a study in the last 10 years, and they looked at, I think, 3,000 different chemicals in newborns. And a newborn is born with average of 230 or 40 different chemicals that aren't supposed to be there. I mean, some of them are
wow,
carcinogens, some of them are just household cleaners. I mean, those things are just and and so the idea becomes this: is we know that maybe X is safe and maybe
hmm,
Y is safe, but are A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and H all together, are they safe? I mean, you
right,
can't do that study. And the answer is no. I mean, the number one, maybe it's not the number one, but there's been a huge increase in rheumatologic disease in farmers in general in the United States. So autoimmune disease in farmers in the United States
hmm,
has gone up, and I can't remember the exact number,
yeah, that's
but
okay.
it just certainly makes sense that the people who are actually producing the food, who have to handle the chemicals, I mean, they have a risk on, themselves.
Right,
So,
right.
so that's the idea.
That's the mission behind
The mission behind.
Pretoria Fields is
Yeah.
implementing something organic,
Yeah.
implementing organic farming and bringing that to Albany for people to understand and know. And then from there is that to share with all of Georgia, which it seems like you're doing a great job spreading the word.
Oh yeah, definitely. So because we're in a small area in a smaller town, we went with a I'm sorry.
Oh, you're fine.
Yeah, yeah, no
This
doubt.
is the nature of the world we're living in right now. We do it
Oh,
all in one room. It's just
right.
you're working, you're talking to your family.
There's
It's
no doubt. I'm
everything.
getting emails and texts, and I'm actually at work. Um, So I apologize for that particular part of it. But yeah, so we picked a distribution model. So there's a taproom model for breweries, which was really what we were trying to do, that when we were going to do the small thing that was out on our farm. When the city invested in us, we got a 30-barrel brew house. We have a lot more space. And so we really went with a distribution model. Well, our distribution models, but is within the state of Georgia. Our distributor is United, but our idea is the same. Like, how do we spread the idea of organic agriculture? Just do it through beer. I mean, one of our beers is Shoalie. It's named for the shoal bass, which is the native black bass to the Flint and Ocmulgee rivers. So we give a little bit back to the river keepers every time somebody buys one. So
Yeah,
that's a good thing to know.
that's all
Um, Skywater is named for a local
my favorite.
spring. Yeah,
Reason in
very
particular
good.
at all.
So yeah, so there's no doubt. So our idea was to spread the idea of organic agriculture throughout Georgia. I guess ground to glass, if that's not too much of a keyword or a cliche.
I don't think so at all. I think it's however you want to convey it, and it helps people understand it on a wider stance. So, so you're making something that you're proud of. You're supporting organic farming, and you're also supporting local wildlife and groups in that way too, is what.
Oh, definitely. And trying to promote, good use of natural resources. I mean, our big thing is the Flint River runs through our town, and we've done a lot of, I guess it's not get out the vote, but try to change people's minds, because Albany's one of the last towns in which the sewer actually still unloads into the river. And
Oh,
so that's been a big mission of ours the last couple of years. And we actually have, working through Pretoria Fields, working with the Flint River Keeper, through our podcast, through other local media and politicians, have got them focused on it. And they've at least started doing the work, to fix it. So they did the study. I think the study is something like $200 million, which in the context of Atlanta doesn't sound like a lot, but in the context of our small base, it's quite a bit. But at least they're more focused on it than they were a couple of years ago.
absolutely. And as we know, in the slow food movement, everything kind of does move in a slow pace. Like just getting people aware of the issue and then people starting to take baby steps is a huge improvement, even if
Sure.
it's not completely gone as a problem so far.
Right.
And so, I mean, in the slow food world, in this organic world, in the world of organic farming, somehow you've crossed paths with Georgia Organics. So tell me a little more about your relationship with Georgia Organics.
Um, I guess we became organic grown through well, actually we were organic certified before the brewery was even there.
Oh,
So
wow.
we've had, uh, and I mean, it's not easy to grow organic. I guess that's the biggest thing we've learned, and
Yeah,
being able to have an association to talk with others about, especially in our area, about what they're doing or how we can do things better. We chose small grains because small grains and beer, obviously barley, and so that's one of the bigger things that we've done. And then fruit trees, and so berries or blueberries and blackberries, and we've experimented with some hops. I mean, that hasn't gone as well as I would hoped, but we do have hops that are growing, and we got one what we call a wet hop beer out of it last year, which means we took it down. None of the hops are processed, and you immediately make a beer out of it. So that's
did
pretty
you
cool.
like it? Was it a
Yeah.
good one?
Oh yeah, there you go. Yeah, yeah, they're delicious. Yeah, they're delicious. We just weren't able to do very much of it.
And are you growing hemp too?
That's our newest project. So why does that make sense?
Mhm.
So hemp is like an alien plant brought by aliens, and it does so many different things. Okay, you can do everything from make a building to make a car to it increases your immune system. It will decrease pain. Um, what else? I mean, it has so many different properties to this. Oh, and it also cleans the ground. I mean, so it's
Who would
so
have known? Oh my
yeah,
gosh.
no, no, you
Yeah.
can't grow it in. Well, okay, well, you can look at this two different ways. Number one, if you've got an area that's been contaminated with, say, heavy metals or whatever it might be, they
Mhm.
used it in where was the nuclear power disaster in Russia? Uh,
Chernobyl.
Chernobyl. So they planted it in Chernobyl because it takes up the heavy ions, and then they destroy the plant to help detoxify the ground. Well, you can do that the same thing with ground in say Georgia. So one of the issues they've had over the last couple of years with corn, cotton, and peanuts is chemical residuals affecting the next crop. So let's say this year you did, and I'm gonna mess this up because we don't do that anymore. But say this year we did peanuts, and the next rotation we're going to do corn. Well, you'll have burnt spots in your corn because of holdover chemicals from the peanuts.
Right.
Well, if so, one of those ideas about changing that distance between industrial farming and organic farming is, what if we put hemp in between that? And so you did corn, cotton, hemp, and peanuts, and then you cleaned your ground of industrial chemicals during one particular part of that. And that's certain that would be an fairly easy thing to do.
And it's
Now
set in stone,
we
right?
don't have the base yet for that, meaning you couldn't use that as like CBD. So you couldn't use that as the
Right.
chemical component because you wouldn't want to ingest it,
No,
but
no.
you could use it for fiber. So you could make clothes and shirts or uh, car parts, you know. So
Yeah.
there's other things that could be done with it.
So, I mean, the most sustainable, efficient way that you could farm, really. It's something completely innovative. And it's funny because I'm somewhat familiar with hemp and CBD and stuff, but I didn't realize the actual farming practice of it could help eradicate those residual industrial chemicals in
Oh
between.
yeah,
That is amazing.
yeah.
That is really, really
We
neat.
don't have the, and that's one of the things, I guess that is another component of the advocacy that we're trying to do when it comes to, say, hemp, is that, well, CBD is great, and that's the gold rush right now,
Yeah.
although there's not a lot of gold there, but that's the gold rush that everybody's looking at, and that's why the state has legalized it. But the real gold rush is in hemp fiber. I
Yeah.
mean, it really is. I mean, everything from, you can make a plastic bottle that degrades in 30 days.
That's incredible.
So, I
I mean,
mean, yeah. I mean,
this
think
is
about
mind
that.
blowing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's another thing from, I mean, it's just like an alien product that was left out there.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like about time that we start
It's
getting
like about
familiar with
time.
it and start
Yeah.
growing it.
Yeah. That's
So
right.
who better than you?
Yeah.
And
So, and we like to do
love the
energy
energy
saving
efficient
here,
lighting.
energy saving day. So
You're
uh,
proving yourself. I love it. I need to install that in my office here. Well, so you have a great relationship with Georgia Organics and just really the city of Albany and the state of Georgia with the way that things have progressed with y'all over the past couple of years. And I know things have changed a lot in the past couple months now. I mean, it feels like years since we've been in this situation, but there is a lot of negative that's happened, but there's a lot of positive too, and it's caused a lot of creation and a lot of people having to get creative about their business and their product. So what have y'all been doing or pivoting to do during this time?
yeah. So it's so weird. We turned our brewery into a hand sanitizer plant.
I saw that,
So,
and
oh
you
my
were
gosh.
selling out.
And so nuts. I mean, I guess, and it's getting farther and farther away, but like 8 weeks ago, maybe,
Yeah.
you know, when everything was happening, it was right around St. Patrick's Day. Because I
Right.
remember the talk was, well, are we going to close for St. Patrick's Day? It would be open. You know, what are we going to do? And then suddenly it was like the whole world just turned off. Um, and then the question was, well, what do we do with all our employees? And so, I mean, we had 20 plus people that worked for us at Pretoria Fields. So we were looking at short-term unemployment for pretty much everybody.
Yeah.
We had another branch of Pretoria, which the hemp company, in which we were creating CBD products. So like hand creams and that, and it's basically compounding and pharmacy.
Yeah.
Well, they couldn't get hand sanitizer, so they were making it. And then somebody else sent me a link where in the Northeast they had switched their plant to they had switched to brewery, or I think it was a distillery, into
Yeah.
hand sanitizer. So after talking to the guys, I said, well, let's do this, because we already had some of the components to it.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was gone. We were like, oh, well, maybe this is bigger than we think. Maybe it's more, more of a regional thing.
Mm-hmm.
And we were able to source. It's really strange. So just east of here, there's an ethanol plant, and what they do is they take, let's say, all the leftover. So if a keg's left over, or it's got some residual in it, or um, oh my goodness, I'm so
You're
sorry.
popular,
So
Tripp.
if a keg's left over, or um, if a uh, or if something goes out of date, which I guess is the biggest thing that they do, then they distill it down, and the alcohol becomes a fuel additive.
Okay.
Okay. And
Yeah.
so anyway, so we had to talk to the state, and the state almost immediately granted us the okay to, instead of using that as a food additive, to make hand sanitizer out of it.
That's
So it was real strange. And, as much as Governor Kemp has gotten, I mean, he really did some things right. And like being able to do, like, like PPE and being able to source it, like they really opened a lot of avenues up for those different things. And those were all really good things. Like, and this was one of them. And it allowed us to stay in business. And not only that, I think we ended up having to employ 10 more people to be able to get it all done.
Wow.
So yeah. So not only did we not let everybody go, but
Yeah.
we hired 10 more folks to help. I mean, and of course the office was closed, so we were all down there volunteering doing it too.
To distill you some
To
sanitizer.
distill us some sanitizer. That's
And
right.
so the profits from the sanitizer is what kept
What
everybody
kept
afloat.
everything going. And we were able to give a bunch of it away. I
Yeah.
mean, so the fact that people were coming in and buying it, I mean, we gave it away to hospitals, we gave it away to the police, we gave it away to first responders. Not everybody, but I mean, heck, if they needed it, you know, buy a bottle, here's 3 more.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's really neat. And
it
something,
was nice. It was very fulfilling for our folks who, you know, who were like, well, like, woe is me there for a few days.
oh yeah, feeling it with the rest of the world, and everybody was on that page, but definitely giving something constructive to do that keeps you busy and also helps people is a way to stay ahead with all
Oh,
this.
no doubt.
Yeah. I also saw something about giving strawberries to hospital workers and first
Oh
responders.
yeah. So Tony Carter, my partner up at McDonough, and so he had the idea. Southern Bell Farms. Are you familiar with them?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so I mean, their biggest moneymaker this time of year is a you pick strawberry patch, and so you know because of social distancing, they were able to have anybody out there. So we went in, bought their strawberries, and then gave them to first responders, and I mean most of the local hospitals in those areas. So you know, it helped out. It helped out them. It helped out us. Really got our name out there. So, and it was promoting part of one of the, you know, promoting local agriculture, which was
Yeah.
part of our mission.
And reducing food waste all the while
Oh
too.
yeah, that's right. So that was all going to rot.
Picking those berries,
Yeah.
it's just sad. It's amazing how much we normally eat when we're all
No
back in
doubt.
business.
And I got to have their strawberry shortcake and their strawberry ice cream, which if you haven't been to Southern Belle and had their strawberry shortcake and strawberry ice cream, it is so good.
Oh
Like
wow.
it is worth the special trip.
Okay. All right. Well, and it has berries in it, so it's healthy.
Oh yeah. Well, you know,
It's healthier than not.
life's too short for everything to be healthy, right? So,
Exactly. You got to have that sweet treat to get through it.
right.
And
I
I
like my cheat
think,
days.
yeah. And I'm sure you're pretty much an expert in all things strawberry at this point.
Oh
The
yeah.
amount that y'all
No
got.
doubt.
Well, I just want to wrap with a little bit about y'all have done a great job in being leaders in the food community and in the good food community from the inception of Pretoria Fields, and especially now in this different time. And I just wanted to hear from you if you have any advice for other good food leaders in this community or outside of it, of just how to stay sane and creative and still create something meaningful that goes back to your mission and culture during this time.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, right now, I think most people who are in our particular business are doing pretty well. I think people see that that you know, in times of crisis, grocery stores have a hard time just functioning because their logistics is so narrow. I mean, if there's one little link lost, and so the guys who actually had product available for markets should be doing really well right now, and of the people that I've talked to, they have done well, and so hopefully this will, you know, number one, always have a niche, you know, stay true to what stay true to what your niche is, and then go out and create those relationships, which help you move your products out. And that's what, you know, that's what we've done. And, you know, our biggest thing is, I mean, we tell our guys, we don't sell beer. We sell the story of organic agriculture. And so, and if we're doing a good job at that, then people will buy our beer. So
It's all about it. It's buying into this whole culture and the story and
yeah,
everything that you're about, and you're doing a great job. And especially in this time of the world, it's an exceptional thing to be coming out strong through all of this. So really congrats, Tripp. And I just want to end with telling everybody where to find you. Obviously, PretoriaFieldsCollective.com. But where else can people connect with you, and how can they support you during this time?
Um, well, we actually, I would usually say come down to the tap room, but the tap room's actually closed.
Okay.
So Pretoria Fields Farmhouse. Okay, so PretoriaFieldsFarmhouse.com. You can actually go in and buy our products online.
Right.
So our CBD, our hand sanitizer, our beer is in almost like Kroger, Publix, most of your local grocery stores should have it, or your local retail places where you buy beer. And if it's not, please ask.
Okay.
Please go in and ask, because
Yeah.
we're certainly available if they haven't found your location yet. So,
Okay, so we'll go door to door and we'll ask every grocery store where the
excellent,
Pretoria Fields is if we can't find it.
no
Uh,
doubt.
Well, I really appreciate you taking the time to go through this interview, and I hope everybody watching this interview has learned something and feels inspired by the Pretoria Fields story, and can go visit their website to get involved. So thanks, y'all, and I hope you have a great day, and thank you again, Tripp, for being a part of this.
All right, thank you. We appreciate it.
All
Good
right,
luck again.
of course.